Adidas versus Puma, a brotherly rivalry. From the dawn of man, or rather the dawn of man's brotherly love, there has been sibling rivalry. All of these sibling rivalries have shaped the course of history. If you were to take a quick visit to the German town of Herzogenaurach, you could see the birthplace and consequences of one such rivalry. Here, the town is divided almost right through the middle by a river, but it is also divided in more ways than that. Its people all wear shoes, as you might imagine, but from specifically two companies. Two rival companies whose first factories and headquarters still operate in the town. Supposedly, most of the people in the town have a family member that works for at least one of these companies. Also supposedly, these family members don't acknowledge each other in public. On top of that, the workers of these companies have different bars apart from each other that they attend in the city. That's how deep this competitiveness is seeped. And so today, we're going to be looking at that sibling rivalry that has helped not only shape history and the town in Germany where it began, but an entire field of business. But before we start, if you like these videos, leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss any of them. The beginning. The German kid with a vision. Adolf Dassler's life began on the 3rd of November 1900, when he was born the fourth child of Christoph and Pauline Dassler. The older siblings were named Fritz, Marie, and, you guessed it, Rudolf. He was born in the middle Franconian town of Herzogenaurach, where the Dasslers made their home and most of the citizens earned their living working for the numerous shoemakers in town. His mother Pauline operated a small laundry service out of their house. Adi supported his mother by transporting laundry to and from customers. However, through his father Christoph Dassler, who worked in one of the shoe factories, Adolf gained insight into another manner of work, that of the shoemaker. Adolf, known to his friends as Adi, completed his high school education and, in accordance with his father's wishes, began an apprenticeship as a baker. But Adi did not see a future in bakery. At heart, his interests revolved around sports. Our man Adi was a sports and health nut. He was fascinated with numerous sporting disciplines such as track and field, soccer, boxing, ice hockey, and javelin, as well as skiing and ski jumping. And so, during his free time, he frequently slipped into the role of the sprinter, football striker, or fighter. No wonder then that the thought of becoming a baker didn't inspire him. But don't worry, he did end up making that bread. Upon completion of his apprenticeship, having fulfilled the promise to his father, he pursued his other interests. You see, Adi had a vision. He noticed most sports of different varieties and competitions all used pretty much the same type of shoe. Now that won't do, he thought, so he began investing his time and talent into designing and inventing such shoes for every type of competition. Or at least he would have if he didn't have the slight manner of a world war coming his way. So, after another couple of years of forced responsibility, now to the German army, he single-handedly built his small shoe company with about 50 employees all working on the product. Admittedly, though, Adi wasn't much of a salesman himself, being more of a quiet and focused guy. This is where his big brother Rudolf makes his appearance. Rudolf had tried and failed to be a police officer, but was already making his way up in the world as a businessman and entrepreneur. A real early 20th century startup. With Rudolf on the numbers and sales side of the business and what was at the time a revolutionary and unique product, it was only a matter of time before they found themselves at the foot of success. The brothers named the company Gebrüder Dassler Sportschuhfabrik, Dassler Brothers Sports Shoe Factory, and listed it in the commercial register on July 1st, 1924. By 1926, they had survived a recession and managed to grow the company to a second location with over 24 employees and making over 100 shoes a day. And then came the Olympics. The Olympics, victory laps. In 1928, the Summer Olympics were held in Amsterdam. For such a fantastic celebration of sports, it was very important for the brothers to be there, or rather, for their shoes to be on the feet of at least one athlete. They were determined to use this world stage to prove that top athletes with proper shoes could run faster, jump higher, and win many more laurels. Adi gave the German distance runner Lita Radke a pair of track shoes he had developed. Wearing the Dassler product, each shoe equipped with 6 spikes, she went to the starting line and, after only 2 minutes and 16.8 seconds, won the race and became the new world record holder. With her 800-meter gold medal, she confirmed the Dassler theory, and the whole world witnessed it. Higher, faster, further was possible with shoes from their factory. The Olympic idea was proven correct. An athlete with the right shoe was capable of greater performance, and that right shoe was made by the Dassler brothers. In 1929, the Dassler brothers negotiated a partnership agreement which defined the rights and duties of both partners. Adi, the investor, in charge of designing and building the shoes, and Rudolf, the salesman, the suit. Another important figure on the Dassler team was Joseph Weitzer, who helped with the development of Dassler shoes. As national track and field trainer and himself a former athlete, he provided much technical expertise and experience to the Dasslers. In 1932, the next Olympic Games took place in Los Angeles. More athletes than ever entered the competition with Dassler shoes. More importantly, however, that same year, Adi decided to attend the Shoe Technical School in Pirmasens. In that shoe town, Adi not only deepened his knowledge of shoemaking, business techniques, and model building, he also met his great love, Katarina, Caddy, daughter of the renowned shoe mold producer Franz Marz. Caddy and Adi were married on March 17, 1934. They said they fit each other like a shoe fits a foot. Kinda weird, but hey, love's love. In 1936 came the big one. Berlin was hosting the Olympic Games. The brothers had the first opportunity to showcase their shoes to the world from their own country. As such, the Olympic Games in the German capital became a springboard for the company, as the Dasslers equipped numerous athletes from around the world. Among the most famous, the American Jesse Owens, wearing track spikes from the Gebrüder Dassler, ran the race of his life and sprinted to 4 gold medals. The lightweight shoes were low-cut and outfitted with 6 specially arranged spikes. The sporting world celebrated, and the Dasslers used the world stage in an impressive manner. No fewer than 2 world and 3 Olympic records, as well as 7 gold, 5 silver, and 5 bronze medals were captured by athletes in Dassler shoes. And rolling in came the money, at least for a while. In 1938, Adi and Rudolf opened another factory on Wurzburger Street in Herzogenaurach to meet the increased demand that followed the Berlin Olympics. By then, 118 workers produced 1,000 pairs of shoes with products for 11 different types of sporting disciplines. Sales spiked to nearly 200,000 pairs a year, leading up to the 40s, and large orders for basketball, hockey, and baseball shoes began to come in. The relationship with Jesse Owens would prove to be far more important than just the immediate success, though. When American soldiers came through in the later years of World War II, they recognized the Dassler brothers as Jesse Owens' shoe provider and let the factory stay in function. Many of the soldiers even became good customers themselves of Dassler brand shoe. Though, as many of you probably know, a couple of years later would get tricky for German business owners. 1940s! Did not see that coming. The Rift. Shortly after the National Socialist German Workers' Party ascended to political power in 1933, the brothers felt pressured to join the National Workers' Party. It was a requirement if they wanted to remain in business and maintain job security for more than 100 employees. To refuse the party membership would have negatively impacted the business and jeopardized the workforce, or so they say. Apparently, Adi was adamant to have contacts within the Nazi youth to test and make designs for his shoes, while Rudolf seemed to be the most fervent of the two within the party, making political moves and contacts. With the war in full swing, many factory operations were hindered or shut down. Workers were hard to come by as people were being drafted for military service. Rudolf had become power-hungry in the firm and was seeking to take control. He denied employment to his sister Marie's sons so that no more family members would be involved in the company. As a result, both of Marie's sons were drafted and killed during the war. Family tensions continued to grow as the wives of both Adi and Rudolf began to quarrel with one another. As the war moved on, Adi was drafted in 1940, but was soon given leave as his presence in the Dassler Shoe Company was deemed necessary. Rudolf, who served in World War I, was drafted in 1943 and became enraged. He viewed his brother as responsible for having him sent off to war, while Adi was able to control the business all by himself. Rudolf devised a plan to escape his post in Tuschen and return to the factory. He successfully made it back to Herzogenaurach, but was eventually arrested by the Gestapo. He would spend the rest of the war boiling with anger in prison, while Adi controlled the business. At the end of the war, Rudolf was released, but his time in prison was not up. The Americans had begun the denazification process of punishing those who belonged to the Nazi Party. Rudolf was first arrested for the suspicions involving his relation to the Secret Service of the SS. He tried to plead his case, but his brother confirmed his relation, and Rudolf's testimony was disregarded. He remained in prison for another year while Adolf controlled the business and gained more power. In 1946, Adi was classified as a Belasteter by the denazification panel and was facing potential time in prison as well as removal from management in the shoe company. Rudolf saw this as his opportunity to seize power, so he devised statements claiming Adolf as a mastermind behind weapon production in the factory, and that he was innocent and would have stopped him if he wasn't in a prison camp. The panel did not listen to Rudolf, and Adi appealed the decision and was found not guilty, placing him again as the head of the company over Rudolf. The relationship of the Dassler brothers had slowly been deteriorating throughout the war, and now it became almost unforgivable. outraged with one another's actions and the constant struggle to gain power, the Dassler brothers divided the company and all its assets and employees in 1948. The negotiations while separating the company would be the last time the Dassler brothers would ever speak to one another. If you were to ask the people of Herzogenaurach, this constant bickering and fighting over control of the company and political power that it entailed was one of the many reasons for the brothers' rift. Another supposed reason was just simply the fact that they were too different from one another. Adi the artist and Rudolf the pragmatist. One of the spiciest bits of gossip is that one of the brothers' spouses actually cheated on him with the other brother. Whatever the reason, that was the end of Dassler shoes. Adi went on to establish Adidas, Adi plus Dassler, and Rudolf went to one-up him at the other side of the river with Ruda, Rudolf plus Dassler. Later, thank heavens for that, changed into the more profitable Puma. Adidas versus Puma. Rivals till the grave. In the striped corner then, we got Adidas with a current market value of over 2 billion euros. And in the feline corner, we got Puma with over 13,000 employees and distribution in over 120 countries. Surely a rivalry to last the ages. Which brother will come out on top in this heavyweight bout? Well, technically neither. It's a draw, let's say. You see, Nike remains the most profitable sportswear company in the world as of now. And the brothers, well, they never got over all the backstabbing and power plays and whatnot. They were so pissed at each other for so long. Even when they died, they insisted on being buried in different cemeteries. And their rivalry got passed down to their sons as well. They say competitiveness is inherently good to business, but geez, this just seems kind of excessive. So who do you guys think was right? Who has the best shoes, Puma or Adidas? Let us know in the comments.